Turn the sound off on a guitar solo and just watch the face. Without the music, it doesn't look like art. It looks like a medical event. The eyes clamp shut. The jaw slides sideways. The eyebrows climb toward the ceiling. And somewhere in there, the mouth forms a word that exists in no language. If you saw a stranger doing this on a bus, you would move seats. You know the expression, the guitar face. Sometimes it looks painful. Sometimes it looks holy. Sometimes it looks like they've bitten a lemon. During a lightning strike? And here's the strange part. Most musicians have no idea they're doing it. Ask them afterward, and they'll just look at you blankly. They were not aware their face was involved. Their fingers played the note. So why did their mouth move? Now try something. Picture a guitarist bending a note with a completely neutral face. Eyes open, jaw relaxed. Just looking at you. Horrifying, isn't it? You've never seen that. And if you did, you wouldn't enjoy the solo. You'd call someone. Which tells us the face isn't decoration hanging off the performance. Somehow, it's load-bearing. One honest warning. Nobody has proved a clean mechanism for this. Science has looked directly at the guitar face and mostly shrugged. What we have are a few systems that all seem to be involved at once, and each one is stranger than the last. Start with the obvious answer. They're feeling the music. But that can't be the whole story. Because you make this face too. You made it this week. You made it threading a cable behind your desk. You made it parallel parking. You have, at some point in your life, made a face at a jar. So guitar face may not start with music. It may start with effort. In 2010, researchers Louise D'Amore and Samuele Marcora attached electrodes to human faces to find out why they do this. That is a real study. That is a real job. They watched the corrugator supercilii, the muscle that drags your eyebrows together when you frown, while people performed harder and harder tasks. As the work got heavier, that muscle fired more, and it tracked something specific. Not how hard the task was, but how hard it felt. The body was doing the work. The face was displaying the effort. You've watched this your whole life. A weightlifter's face tightens before the bar even moves. A child's tongue creeps out while they cut along a line. Your jaw clenches while you fight a key into a stubborn lock. None of it helps. Your eyebrows cannot lift a barbell. Your tongue cannot steer a pair of scissors. But when the brain cranks up the effort somewhere, the rest of the motor system doesn't sit quietly. Researchers call this motor overflow, activity spilling out alongside the movement you actually meant to make. Your brain is not a control room full of insulated switches. It's a living network. Push one signal hard enough, and it bleeds into the wiring next door. And the wiring next door has a history with your hands. In 2015, Jillian Forrester and her colleagues watched children doing tasks with their hands, and their tongues kept showing up, uninvited, even shifting direction depending on what the hands were doing. The mouth and the hands were talking to each other. This is much older than the guitar. Your hands and your mouth are the two most finely controlled things you own, and long before anyone built an instrument, they worked as a pair, pointing while speaking, shaping a tool while explaining it. Your tongue has been trying to help your hands your entire life. It has never once succeeded. It has never stopped trying. Now, hand that system an electric guitar. The left hand has to land on exactly the right fret and bend the string a fraction of an inch to a pitch that either lands or embarrasses you. The right hand controls timing, attack, volume. All while the guitarist rides the rhythm, hears the next phrase before it arrives and catches errors in real time. The note sounds effortless. The brain making it is doing nearly everything at once. Under that load, the jaw tightens, the tongue drifts, the eyebrows pull in. Not because the face is playing guitar, but because it got caught in the storm. Except, here's the problem with that explanation. Watch someone play AIR guitar. There's no string, no fret, no force, no fatigue, no risk of a bad note, because there is no note. The hands are doing nothing. And the face? The face is going through it, eyes shut, lip curled, total commitment. If effort were the whole answer, that face should not exist. Take away the instrument, and the expression survives anyway, which means it isn't bolted to the work of playing. It's bolted to the music. So, what if the face isn't a side effect at all? What if it's the other half of the instrument? Because guitar face doesn't always show up on the hardest note. Sometimes it shows up on the saddest one. A guitarist can rip through a blistering technical run with the calm expression of someone reading a menu, then close their eyes and come apart during one slow bend. Physically, that bend is easier. Emotionally, it costs more. Music isn't just a sequence of sounds. It's a sequence of movements that your brain reads as intentions. A note rises like it's reaching. It hangs like it's waiting. It resolves like it finally got home. None of that is leader. In 2011, Bradley Vines and his colleagues had people watch a clarinetist play the same music 3 ways: restrained, normal, exaggerated. Sometimes they only heard it. Sometimes they only watched it in silence. The movements carried emotional information on their own, and they changed how the music was experienced. Your ears heard one thing. Your eyes quietly edited it, which means a performance has 2 outputs. The sound comes out of the instrument. The intention comes out of the body. And your brain fuses them without asking permission. That's why the expression survives, even though it adds nothing to the note. It tells you how the note is supposed to feel. A strained face makes a bend feel like it's fighting gravity. A sudden grin tells you the phrase landed exactly where they wanted it. And almost none of it is deliberate, because the guitarist is also an audience member. They hear the note at the same instant you do. Their brain predicts where it's going, feels the tension build, and gets the release when it arrives. The emotion isn't added after the note. The emotion is part of how the note gets made. Real guitar face is messy. It shows up half a second early. It produces expressions no human being would ever choose on purpose. It was never designed to make anyone look good. It's just what happens when concentration, movement, and feeling all try to use the same body at once. So, why do guitarists make that face? Partly because hard movement leaks into muscles nobody invited. Partly because the face has always broadcast effort. Partly because musicians can't help embodying the shape of what they play. And partly because you have never once listened to music with your ears alone. The face is the guitar's second output. One signal runs through the amplifier, carrying pitch and rhythm. The other runs through the body, carrying strain and hope and intention. Your brain welds them into the single thing you call a performance, which means that ridiculous expression is doing something quietly important. It lets you see the note before you finished hearing it. The string bends, the face bends with it, and for a second, the invisible shape of the music becomes something you can look at. The guitarist isn't making a face at the music. The music is making a face through them.